Okay, we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is SkyWire, and today is another great day because we're talking about change, we're talking about the seasons, and we're talking about, I guess, on some level, duality of things because we plant and then we eat what we grow and all these things. And it's going to be a really exciting show. Let me introduce our panel of fantastic people. First, we have Elaine, we have Gail, we have Kehlani, and we have Sheila. And I'm going to ask each of them to tell a little bit about themselves so you know who you are connecting with and who you're taking this journey with. So, Elaine, tell us a little bit about you.
Today I'm hailing from Maryland. Spell that Merryland. I'm a holistic nurse. I am a lover of life. I'm a teacher of laughter yoga. Mostly, I'm here to help bless folks so we can get through these holy shift times with a little bit more grace and joy.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Gail?
Hi, everybody. Hi, my panel. Hi, Marilyn. I'm Gail Harris, and I'm delighted to be here. I'm a professional writer and author, and I specialize in writing books for others, and I'm very excited. My latest book, entitled Finding Zoe, that I co-wrote with a former Miss Deaf America named Brandy Raris. This is her story, and it is be available for sale in a couple of days. It is absolutely an amazing story, and the reviews are coming in to attest to that, and I'm so delighted. Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. Can't wait for that book to come out. And Kehlani, what about you?
Oh, she's frozen.
Okay.
No, she's not.
Okay, there she is. Tell us about you, Kehlani.
Good morning, everyone. I am Kalyani Roldan, extraordinary living and inner wealth coach for women and especially moms, being a mom myself. And I help women access their incredible God-given inner wealth as the catalyst to actually living your purpose, your passion, and your prosperity.
Sounds good to me. Can't have enough of that, huh? And Sheila?
Hi, I'm Sheila Hensley. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I own a real estate school, which only tells you a little bit about what I do. I actually counsel people getting into the business, why they want to get into the business, what they should be thinking about, and I help them begin their career properly for their best interest, and I do it all online. How I got with these ladies, this fine panel, I don't know, but I am so pleased to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. And Sheila has been so helpful, along with all the other ladies, in just keeping this show, this HOA together, because we are learning something extraordinary. This is reality at its best. And when you have a subject like listening, it takes us all on a journey, something that we're not ready for every day, but that through listening we tap into something that we just don't even realize exists, and we are all on this extraordinary journey together, and we're delighted to have you along with us. My name is Marilyn.
Marilyn, I got to jump in here. You've introduced the show, you've introduced us, but we hardly ever hear about you and your background.
That's what I was just getting ready to do. So
yay! I thought you were going to sail over it.
No, I was just getting ready to do that. But so you heard me as right in my moment, my second as it was rolling out of my mouth. How wonderful is that? Thank you. I was just getting ready to do that. So my name is Marilyn Shannon. I host this show, SkyWire, as well as another internet talk show called Breaking Free. I also am a business and life coach. I speak, I facilitate. I am the co-founder of a networking organization called Women's Power Networking, and I am so happy to be here each and every Thursday. I am so happy to be a part of a communication, a conversation that is always evolving. And I'm think that this life that we have been blessed to be a part of is extraordinary. This conversation we're going to start to have started with one of our panelists who couldn't be here today, Heidi. The last time we came together, she was in the midst of mourning her one of her loves, her kitten, her cat. And through that experience, Gail picked up on, it's a perfect time to be talking about the change of seasons. And so we just together came to the same point in time where we decided to have this conversation about listening and how we listen to the changes that are always around us. And this morning when I was on a walk with my husband, and I'm in North Carolina, so things are still in flowering, and it's still 70 degrees. My husband first noticed a tree out of all the trees that are still green, one tree that had red in the middle of it on this whole big street of trees. There was the beginning of a change. There was the beginning of this shift of seasons, regardless of whether we're ready for it or not. And that's how change is. We may not be ready for it, but it's coming anyway, no matter what we think. We might as well be a part of it, and we might as well listen, open up our listening, open up our hearts, open up this concept of listening to these changes so that we are not in conflict with it, but we're in concert with it. And everything's going to change. So I was going to ask Gail, since you were so much a part of the original conception of this, to begin. I know I just said a bunch of things, but you're eloquent. I'd like you to begin this time talking about, this change of seasons and what this means to you.
Sure. Well, whenever summer is over, so I'm in the Boston area, and we have real seasons, and we have a real winter, and it's cold. And I don't particularly like the winter. I don't like being cold. I don't like skiing. I don't like anything about the cold. And whenever summer is over, it happens every year. Like, I just get a little sad. I don't know. It's just something that it's like my body is doing it, and my heart and mind is doing it. And I think it's just something I have to go through. I notice it every year, and then I adjust to it. And then I'm into fall, and it's coming. And fall is incredibly beautiful here. We're having it seems like it's going to be a good fall. We're having a lot of colors already, and honestly, I do still feel a little sadness. That's like my listening. Even though it's beautiful, it's a little sad for me because I find winter tough. Mm. And one more thing that I want to say though is that by embracing that sadness and really just being with it, it really helps me to move forward where I need to go. And I'm fine, it's like I'm not crying all the time. It's just I notice that, it's like I get sad a little bit this time of year.
So I'm not sure if Marilyn is unmuted. I can't hear her.
I couldn't hear her either. Marilyn, we can't hear you, babe. I didn't know if it was me or not.
So while Marilyn is fixing her system, I'm just going to take the liberty to continue the conversation. When I'm getting into autumn, I often think of the season of the tempos of school. School is coming back in session, so the activity in our neighborhood is different. The school buses are back. The kids are getting on the buses around the neighborhood. It might be a little quieter of the sounds of children playing. This morning, because it was so beautiful, and I have a deck off of my kitchen that overlooks my backyard where I have lots of trees. It was rather quiet, and I thought, gee, I'll set up my my computer for the ambiance of autumn. And I thought it was going to work out just fine until the crows came by. And they were squawking and doing their magic, so I came back inside. But while I was outside and appreciating the trees, one of the things I like best about autumn is the falling of the leaves. And, you know, there's such a randomness to the way leaves come down, when they come down, what direction they're going to go. You know, if I were a leaf on a tree and it was my time to, you know, end my attachment time to the tree, you know, there would be something chemically happening that would have me loosen up. But then at the right time, often with the right puff of wind, you know, I'd just be lifted and carried somewhere. And I would land on the ground. And so part of what I love about the beauty of fall is kind of the randomness that happens as the things, all the leaves that had life on the trees are coming down, and they just get blown around. And I love that dance.
You mentioned the crows before, Elaine. I know that sound. That I was talking a little bit before about the ending of summer and the kind of a sadness that I have. When I hear those crows, it's like, wow, it's moving on. It's moving on to fall. I could just hear them now. I think how's Marilyn doing? Still having some trouble.
Yeah.
Sheila, are you with us?
I am.
Okay.
Would you like for me to give my opinion of the fall season?
We would love you to give your opinion of the fall season.
It will not be nearly as eloquent as what y'all have said, but it takes me back to the days when I rode horses. And one of the most beautiful things you can do is get on the back of a horse that you trust and you have a relationship with, and ride through trails. Very narrow trails where the trees envelop you, the air, the smells, you can tell by the smells that things are changing. It has a different texture to it. It's not in the spring. It's very green. It's very strong. But in the fall, it's different. I don't know how to describe it. But being on the back of a horse and riding through the trails is absolutely wonderful in the fall. You have to bundle up just a little bit because you don't know on a 2 or 3 hour ride when the wind is going to pick up and when it might get cooler. So you have to prepare. You have to take things with you, a sweater or a heavy coat or gloves or something like that, in case the weather changes to more severe fall weather while you're out on your ride. And the animals, the horses you're on, feel it as well, so you're on their back, and you absorb that feeling of they're a little bit giddy and it's cooler and they feel a little more frisky, and you have to be a little more seated in the seat because they might just kick out and say, oh, it's fall. They love it, and you absorb that feeling from them. So that's what fall means to me. That's my favorite time of year because it takes me back to riding horses. It wasn't that long ago. Both 2 times when I was a young woman, I rode horses, and then when I was far too old to ride horses, I rode horses. And I had 2. And it was just a lovely time of year for us all. The hay was a different type of feed than during the summer because they were on grass. And it was just many, many changes of senses that you enjoyed during the fall. So, take that and discuss it, ladies.
Kalyani, are you with us? Kalyani?
I am back, I hope.
Oh.
I have missed everything so far.
Oh,
Can
well,
you guys hear me?
You're not the only one. So I actually was wondering because I really feel a change of season, especially the summer to the fall. I really feel it. My body feels it. I was just wondering if anybody could relate to that at all.
Yeah. Elaine, I just spoke. Kalyani? Kalyani.
I think she's gone now.
Oh.
Ask the question again. I was looking at the comment stream because I have a friend who joined the comment stream last night, and I was looking at the comments, and it looks like she may have had some difficulty from her Mac or her iPad watching. So I was looking to see if we could get the link for YouTube, maybe, so she can watch that way.
The link is in the chat. Link for YouTube is in the chat if you need it.
Is in the chat. Okay. So I'll open that, and I will pop that in there for her in a minute.
Yeah, I was just asking if you feel a change, if your body feels a change. You sense it in your body in some way.
I think if I am motivated to move differently, it's because, for example, when I'm walking outside, I just make a conscious decision to really be present with, the season the way it is now. And for myself, if I'm walking on a particular street and I like the trees on that street, or I'm just kind of communing with them as I walk by, there might be a spring in my step. Or like Sheila was mentioning, when riding the horse, if she might see animals that are frisky, squirrels. I certainly see squirrels along my walks. And so there might be a time where I just kind of engage with something like that, and it just might help me smile or move a little differently. Sometimes when I'm out walking, I also do my own laughter yoga practice. Not that I do it loud, because the whole neighborhood might not want to be blessed with my loud laughter. But, you can always do a laughter practice in the silent mode, which is just like, you breathe in deeply and you exhale. So,
what's your favorite season?
My favorite season is the fall. It really is. It is. I think I love the fall colors. The autumn colors are essentially in my bedroom, so I kind of get blessed by those all year long. And let's see, my sister was married in the autumn. I don't know. Fall also brings back memories of high school. And high school time was, I was in marching band, and I was on the twirling squad. So, we would have a regular sequence of learning the music for the halftime shows and practicing them, and, you'd get bundled up to go away for the halftime games, and, that part of the year was just kind of consistent in its opportunities for fun.
So I guess you didn't relate to me at all when I said before that I always felt a little sad. Not one bit, huh?
I think it'd be a good time to recognize our audience members. We have Mama Char. By the way, I did put the YouTube link in for her, Elaine, in the comments. Thanks. We have Sarah Lamont. We have the ever vivacious Cheryl Deuce with us. Hello, Cheryl. Katrina is in the comments. Oh, Katrina loves horses. Thank you, dear. Let me just put that one up so we can hear from our co-panelist. I absolutely know what you mean about feeling so connected with the horse when you're riding. It's fabulous. I haven't been on the back of a horse for a few years. Once you go away and come back, it hurts the first couple of times. Yeah, absolutely. Simple as fall. So there you go.
I actually wanted to just welcome Sarah Lamoff. She came to join us, and I'm sorry we're having technical difficulties today, Sarah, but our host, Marilyn, is having some computer difficulties, so we're kind of winging it right here. But I'm so glad that you're here. And hi, Cheryl. And hi, Katrina. Sorry that you can't join us today on the screen, but we feel your presence.
So glad to have you in the comments section.
Yeah.
You know, Gail, when you talked about the sadness that you experience in the fall, you know, it's like you don't want to let go of summer, you know,
That's right.
that
right.
warmth. And autumn is this season where it's so obvious in front of us that, especially if you live in areas with deciduous trees, you know, that are shedding their leaves, it's the time for letting go.
Right.
And one of my friends who's watching today, Mama Char, she's mentioned that her husband passed away 3 years ago, and she recreated a lot of her own life, but now, as the fall is here, she's finding some resistance again to letting go of things of the past that are resurfacing, to let her forward movement go. So I just know there's so much love in this group that I hope she just feels embraced, to feel comforted that her, you know, her letting go and her forward movement will happen perfectly. And I hope she can just, if there's resistance that's there, I hope she can just love the resistance, you know, not judge herself for the resistance, to just set it free. And then it'll move and dance in its own way, just like the leaves that are coming down from the trees, you know, landing wherever they will by the puff of wind that's there at any given point in time.
Well, maybe there is just that sadness in the sense that it is a letting go. It is a dying. I mean, the leaves are going to fall down and they're going to die, and it happens every year. And I think, you know, to be in tune with that, we feel it. Like you were saying, Elaine, it's not about resisting it. It's about actually, you know, embracing it and let it have its own season.
Oh, great way to put it, Gail. Great, and everything has its season. Turn.
Yeah, and to be with it, you know, to embrace it, really. So it's not, there's not really anything bad, so-called, about feeling uncomfortable. I mean, it's just part of life. And I think it's that resistance, again, that really causes the pain, is the resistance to us feeling uncomfortable. But when we can embrace it, you know, it gets back to that discussion about there's a difference between pain and suffering. Mm-hmm. Pain is a part of life, and you can feel pain and feel very much alive and in tune with the seasons and with what's happening and with what is. It hurts. I mean, grieving hurt. It doesn't feel good. Grieving is, I think it's one of the most painful emotions, but it's the resistance to that, or to whatever it is that we're feeling, that's when the suffering really comes. You know, there's a real difference.
It's very profound, and you're absolutely right. The resistance makes it bigger than it really, really is, because it is just a normal feeling.
Right. Yeah, it's part of life.
Yeah.
It's that non-acceptance of it that it's like rubbing against, you know what I mean? It's like going against the grain, going against what is. It's the resistance of what is. Yeah. I mean, what could be worse than that, really, when you think about it?
And I truly understand that, because I am a resistor. I will naturally try to stop it. So no, not going to have this. I will try to stop it, and not until Elaine is laughing because she can imagine me being just like that. Can't you, Elaine?
No, I was, my wordplay muses started crackling in my ear.
Sure.
And, you know, and so when you feel like you're the resistor, you need to find a sister.
That's
you know,
right.
And just talk about it, you know, and that, again, being with another who will listen while you're noticing the resistance, and you can just talk about it. in that talking about it, you're setting it free. And you also know you're not alone. So yeah. So folks, when you notice you're the resistor, find a good sister to listen and talk with.
And hopefully we're learning to be good listeners, which is very hard to do when we don't understand someone's pain or what they're going through. They haven't told us yet. And we have to settle down and we have to be quiet and allow them to say or feel what they need to feel. Rather, or we'll be encouraging their resistance. Gail, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I just wanted to comment on what you were saying before, Sheila, that I think we all resist. You know, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
I think that we're taught to resist because we're taught that we should always be happy and everything should be wonderful and that we shouldn't die. You know what I'm saying? Like you sought after forever and ever. I mean, we're just taught to resist.
That's right.
What is. And so it takes work, you know, it takes that listening. I'd love to hear some comments from my friends in the audience, our friends in the audience, and really bring you guys in. Katrina, Sarah, Cheryl, and I'm sorry, I forgot your friend's name, Elaine. But, you know, what about that resistance? We all have it, don't we?
Mama Char is Elaine's friend's name. We don't
Mama
have
Char.
any other. Yeah, we don't have any other comments, but we invite y'all to join us.
Well, actually, we do have another comment here. Katrina says, absolutely, Gail Harris, our expectation
Amen.
Our expectation that things should be different is what keeps us in resistance and definitely ends up causing more suffering. It isn't always natural to moods towards the pain, but it is the best way through it. Boy, did you say that well, Katrina. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
She always does. She always says it very well, and she always, what she says is always so important. Oh, Marilyn!
Did we get her back?
We see her. Marilyn, are you there? We see you. Nah.
Okay. Well, you nailed that one, Katrina. That was your words are beautiful, and that was a very, very nice comment. Thank you.
And Sheila, I'm stealing your role here. Ha ha ha. I don't have comment tracker open, but I'm just looking in the comment stream. Lovely Cheryl Deuce. Cheryl, thank you for being here with us. She says, I have a friend going through a huge struggle right now, and I would be 80%, and I would guess, I don't know, that 80% of the pain comes from the inability to just let go of control and allow the buildup of pressure to release and go through so she can begin to heal from the other side. Yep, surrender, let go, let it move.
Yeah, you know, what are we hanging on to? It's so interesting, and we all do it, you know. It's like, what is it that we just, like, we're afraid to let go? Why?
Fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
If we let go, then if we let go of the resistance, then we must deal. Then the resistance is gone, and we must deal with whatever's there. And what if it's bigger than we know? What if we're a little too weak to handle it? What might happen? Fear of the unknown. And I think that's a natural human thing, too. That was beautiful, Cheryl. Thank you. Were you talking about me? I have a friend. I'm kidding. Let me ask a question. We're talking about the changing of the seasons. What about winter for everyone? This is fall, and we have very good things happening in fall, different smells, different enjoyments. But how does winter, the dead of winter, affect you? I have an opinion on that. I'd like to hear y'all's.
We'd like to hear your opinion first.
I have a problem with light deficit. Yeah. Now, I never knew that until they named it later on in my life, but I can relate to it because if I don't get enough light, it starts affecting me emotionally, psychologically. almost a feeling of depression, but you're going through your day and you don't realize you're light deprived. Now, I noticed this morning. I had to get up early, and I had a 7 a.m. drop off to my vet, and I realized that I was getting dressed in the dark. I did not like it. I did not appreciate the fact that I could not see to put my necklace on because I didn't have enough light. Forget the fact that I didn't have my contacts in. I blamed it on the light. But I did not like it. I did not like it. Now, this is October 2nd. It will continue days will continue to get shorter and shorter until mid to late December, where we'll have our shortest day, and there will be a light deficit. My worst time is in January. That's the coldest that it gets here. Gail, yours would be much earlier because you're further north, but the light would be the same. Does it affect you, and if so, how do you deal with it? And everybody in the audience too. Cheryl, Mama Char, Katrina, anybody, if you have an opinion on that, I'd love to hear it. Because I've never discussed this with anyone. I'm trusting you ladies to give me good advice.
Sheila, I want to let you know that as a nurse, I am aware that there is a real biochemical thing that happens for some people as the seasons change. Mm-hmm. The qualities of light that change during the seasons affect the body's ability to produce melatonin and some other things. Mm-hmm. And so my mother, who is 95, it was probably about 4 years ago, I recognized this pattern that she'd had for the last couple years before that of how her mood would start really tanking. Right. As we started even getting into August and September, mm-hmm. I noticed, boy, her ability to cope with things is just changing. Yeah. So I did some research, and I found that you can actually buy lights. Yeah. That that have a particular frequency to them. Some people who have severe symptoms buy these light boxes and sit in front of them for 20 minutes every day. But there are lots of different products with scientific evidence validating that they're very helpful for some people. Now, for my own mom, mm-hmm. I ended up actually buying a brass lamp that I could put over her kitchen table. So every morning when she gets up and she's eating her oatmeal, it's kind of tilted so she's getting the light, the light therapy while she's eating her breakfast. Mm-hmm. And interestingly, even though I was asking some mental health clinicians about this, they didn't know much about it. And in one of my nursing magazines that always has read about this and earn a contact hour, to maintain your license requirements in your state. Yeah. One time there was this whole article about seasonal affective disorder, which, impacted by light. And in this magazine there was the most concise overview of the nursing and medical and scientific evidence about understanding it and some of the treatments available. I was so surprised. Yay, nurses.
Yeah, the first time I heard of it, I'd been experiencing it for years and adjusting. And the first time I heard someone talk about it, I went, yeah, that makes sense. Because I've been doing that. I find that my very best therapy is midday, if possible.
Was it a relief to you, Sheila, to find out that there was something, that you could call it something?
Actually, no, because I was so sure that it was something, and that I was simply the only person in the world who knew about it. And, I never doubted that it was something. It couldn't have been me. It had to be something. And so I just tried to find things, and I found that in the dead of winter, I put on a heavy coat if it's cold. and midday, whether it's cloudy, whether it's raining, doesn't matter. I go outside for an hour. I do 30
Wow.
minutes out, 30 minutes back in, and that will keep me from isolating myself. Otherwise, I have a tendency to
Can't
isolate.
hear anybody.
Mm.
Oh, I hear a sound coming from Maryland. We can hear y'all now.
Sort of.
So, well, we can hear them talking. Gail, give me your opinion on that, because since you're in the north and you sound like the way you describe yourself, you're almost a southern girl.
I should be. I know. I often wonder, what am I doing in the Northeast? I go through it every year.
Yeah.
The good thing about winter for me is that it really gives me permission to just go inward and go inside. You know, I'm like that kind of a person anyway. I really just, in a lot of ways, I take to myself, and I like going inside and just reading and journaling and doing those kinds of things. And it's harder to do that in the spring and the summer. I don't want to do it as much because I want to be outside, and there's so much to do outside. But when it starts getting dark at 4:30, I don't want to go out, and I get in my pajamas early. And it just really gives you permission to enjoy that inner life, which is important to me. So that's the upside of it.
So
Can you hear me?
We
Can you
can
hear
now.
me?
Yes, we can now, Marilyn. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Good.
Beautiful.
Here I am.
Yeah, well,
So
we've been talking about a lot of different things.
I know. I've been listening.
Oh, so you've been able to hear us?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, pretty much. Except I just had to switch computers again, and I missed what you said. But the interesting thing is, did you talk about seasonal depression?
That's what we were talking about.
Yep.
Because that was one of the things that I wanted to touch upon, and I've been listening to some of what you've been saying, so I appreciate you saying that, and I know that you spoke some about Elaine's friend, which is great, because I wanted to talk about that too, and I want to talk about how listening affects all of this. What does listening do for us? How does listening support us in all of these things? You know, that we've been talking about. So I know you've hit a lot of ground, so I'm going to sit here and listen. and I liked a lot of the questions that have been coming up, because I mean, that's what change is, and is listening to these changes and not resisting, as you said, because what you resist will persist.
Oh,
So
that's
allowing it to be, right?
Sorry, guys. I'll be right back.
Allowing it to be, allowing ourselves to go through it, and listening for the messages that come in the sadness, that come in the resistance, that come with the change of the leaves, that come with all of these things. There's something in all of this for all of us, and the listening is what helps identify it. So where are you now? Are you still talking about seasonal depression?
We were dancing around it a little bit, and we were talking about, Sheila had asked us a question. Sheila, what was the question? Because I know I was responding to it.
And you did very well, but the reason you don't remember the question is because the absence of light, shorter days, which I was saying could send me into a depression if I didn't watch it. You have the opposite of it. Has the opposite effect on you, because it gives you permission to go into yourself and really listen to yourself and journal and write. You don't have obligations outside as much, so you can get into your pajamas and enjoy it. Whereas I have to watch myself, because I will go not the other direction, but I'll go further in that direction and totally isolate myself during the day and in the evening too, which is not good at all. So it's only it's less than 30 days, I find, where it affects me, but it does every year, and I can feel it coming. And Marilyn, I don't know if we would call it a depression, but yes, we would, wouldn't we, Elaine? It's a form of a depression that really hasn't been defined and treated yet, except with artificial light. Wouldn't you say, Elaine?
Yeah, it's called seasonal affective disorder, but that's what the medical community does. They like to label things disorders. Okay, but you, in your wisdom, in listening to yourself, without getting all bogged down that, oh, I have seasonal affective disorder and I must find a treatment, you listened to yourself and said, okay, well, I'm called to then be outside. I noticed this is what my body kind of wants to do. And you gave yourself permission to do that in a way that you had an experience that said, oh, okay, I then have a different sense of balance or a result, and that's because you paid attention and you trusted yourself enough to find your own answer. Now, sometimes we go to others for answers, and that's fine. And we have that mixture of listening on the outside and on the inside for what might bring us back to balance. So
that's right.
You have been listening. It's been perfect.
I want to get to some comments because Kelly Annie said that she tells us that she has bad cell coverage. She's very sorry, but she would like to contribute, and I'll need to read hers probably because it's so long. She said, I'd love to share my perspective. We are energetic beings, and energy is always on motion, so therefore we are ever-evolving beings living on a planet that demonstrates to us every day through nature that shift is happening. That's exactly right. If we can embrace change from the contrast and metamorphosis it provides us, just like the caterpillar, we can get excited for the blossoming that's coming. Isn't that, and I'm going to put it up so you can see the beginning of it, and you can see where I continue to read some of the stuff. Katrina has also come in, and I would like to put hers up. I've got to do this first. Hey, Sheila Hensley, she says, there is a reason I live in Colorado. Well, I'm coming to see you, darling, because it sounds great up there. We get over 300 days a year of sunshine, I'm thinking, because I know that. I used to live on the East Coast, and it was too overcast for me. It makes me, it makes people grumpy. Yes, it does. And yes, Gail Harris, I love the darker times of the year to go more inward. I enjoy that solitary space for introspection. Very good. Thank you, ladies. Great comments. Great
So this is interesting because Sheila, you mentioned about being called to, and it's when you're being and it's listening to what you're being called to do that makes listening so important, and that in the song that I posted from the Byrds, turn, turn, turn. There's a season. Turn. What does turn mean?
Change.
It's going to turn. It's going to turn. It's going to turn around.
Right.
It's going to go 180. It's going to go 360. It's going to turn.
That's
it's
right.
It's going to go from this to this. But what's I mean, you know that if you have the seasonal experience where you don't like the darkness, you also can hold on to the fact it's going to turn to light.
True. And I always say, okay, if I can just make it until February 15th, I have no idea why February 15th makes me feel better. It's just a place. If I can get to there, I will be fine. Because after, say, the end of, middle to end of January, it starts making a difference. I don't know. Well, the days are getting a little bit longer, but it's still cold. And in fact, I say if I can get to February 15th, everything's going to be fine, and I won't have to deal with this anymore. So,
okay. So what about the people? What about the people who are experiencing, let's say, living in Timbuktu and it's dark and they hate it? Should they stay? Or are they being called to do something different? What should they be listening to?
I don't know. They would have to tell us, wouldn't they?
Well, but the point is, what do you honor? You listen to Katrina. She says, she loves the sunlight, but then when it's darker, it gives her a moment. It gives her time to go inward.
Mm-hmm.
What do we honor? What do we listen to? Because
Oh,
that's an honor.
I think we have to listen to both at different times. Gail, what do you think?
There was something that I needed to comment on before about the turning. You know, I think what you said, Marilyn, was really so profound in a way, because the turn really addresses the cycles. You know what I mean? It's like it's going to keep coming around. This too shall pass. It's going to come and it's going to go. It's going to come, it's going to go. There are cycles, and cycles are part of life. And that when we tune into that cycle, we know that things are never going to, they're not going to stay the same. It's always going to change. It's going to come back around. It's going to leave again. And that to just be with that, I think it helps us really embrace life. So I don't think I answered your question, but I just felt like I needed to share that.
I think you did, because my response was you honor whatever is there, and that's exactly what you just said. You honor both. But Marilyn, were you speaking specifically of people who could not change their situation?
Well, I am to a degree.
Okay.
For people who think they can't.
Or think
mean,
they
come
can.
on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, think you can't. I mean, when we listen, there's nothing. We're listening for what we can.
Yeah.
Not for what we can't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we're listening. I don't think we're listening. Maybe we are listening for what we are allowing ourselves to can't. Do you know what I mean? We're listening for how we've allowed ourselves not to move forward, so that we know how we're showing up, and we want to listen to what we can. We want to listen for how we have stood in our way, and then we want to listen for how we can get out of our way.
For how we can get out, yeah.
Yes, yes. And the kind of thing that Gail just helped me explain, which I love, is this notion of turning. Mm-hmm. And that listening is what helps us be aware of the turn and helps us turn in some cases.
I'd like to go back to the imagery about trees again. You know,
Okay.
think about a tree that's in a place where the leaves are going to change color. All the leaves on the trees, they don't just all change color on the same day. It's like
That's right.
One starts and some are yellow and some are faster than others. And so even within the larger cycle of the turning, there are these individual differences of the color changes. And it becomes a beautiful dancing mosaic. You know, if you have a favorite tree in your backyard and you really go out and pay attention, there's something about that, noticing that can help you then accept yourself in your own tempo. You know, maybe you're the person, maybe you're like you'll be the last leaf on the tree to be blown away, and it's okay. But we get into this thing where we're often comparing ourselves with others. Oh, well, they healed faster, they adjusted faster, they grieved, they only had a short grieving period after something. You know, we're all going to do it in our own way. And if we're the last leaf on the tree to let go, it's okay. It's okay.
Cheryl Deuce has a comment saying, I like what Elaine said about listening to our body's needs. If no sun makes you grumpy, get where there is more sun. Who was it that said they had 300 days of sun? It was Katrina, wasn't it? If you need fresh air, get out or open a window. We need to be true to our physical beings on a spiritual level. That's beautiful, Cheryl. Thank you. I also want to go to Mama Char and highlight her comment. I have not read it yet. We'll read it together. How do you know it's just a cycle and not permanent? I think the song answers that, Mama Char. We'll discuss. What if I can't change the physicality even if I don't want to live here? I've been there before. What do y'all think, ladies?
Well, first of all, let's address the first question. How do you know it's just a cycle and not permanent?
Mm-hmm.
What's permanent? What doesn't change? The only thing you can guarantee is change. And it's how we look at it. If you take a look at quantum physics, anything that you look at, if you observe it, it's already changing. It's your attitude, it's whatever you place on it. So I don't think that anything can necessarily be permanent. I don't have the ultimate answers for anything. I just know that everything changes. That's the one thing we can guarantee.
And the second part, what if I can't change the physicality even if I don't want to live here?
Well, I guess that then it boils down, again, about attitude. I think it boils down to what do you do with what you can change? We have power. Listen to what you can change. What is the listening coming up? What listening is coming up? What is your listening telling you that you can, even if it's a small change? What is the smallest change you can make? Start with that. What's the smallest change? And then with that change, and imagine it, and do it, and go from that next change. So I ask you, is it Mama Char?
Mm-hmm.
How do you put it? What is the smallest change? Write us back and tell us, what is the smallest change that you can foresee now? Like, are you living in your own home? Can you paint a room a different color? Can you change the door sound of the ringing of the door? Can you what is it that you can put flowers? The first thing I did when I got separated and I moved into an apartment from a big house, is I put flowers in every room in the house. I bought bouquets of flowers, and I would take one flower and put them in every room in the house. That was one way for me to bring in something different into my house. What is it? What is the smallest change that you might be able to make? Let us know some of those, and let us help address those.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you live? Give us some more information. Go ahead.
I will say to you, Mama Char, I have been in your situation where I didn't want to be where I was. It seemed like nothing would ever change, but it does. Whether I initiate the change or something surrounding me changes, it does. It changes. So have faith in that.
And Elaine said something really brilliant also when she was painting this picture, and she said, let's go back to the leaves. And when I heard her say that, I said, oh no, I thought we were talking about something, but it was brilliant what she said. That each tree and each leaf is going to change at its own pace. And when she started saying that, I was envisioning myself standing in like this street that I was in earlier today and watching and being a part of this change and observing the change around me. And then realizing that even one leaf may not change. One leaf in all of those leaves could stay green and not be part of that change, but maybe they do their own morphing. That was a really fantastic metaphor for.
And Marilyn, to back you up on that, Katrina said the same thing. Elaine, you're the star today. I'm going to, because everybody's loving what you're saying. Elaine, I love how you pointed out the timing of the trees and comparing it to our own inner peace of change. Beautiful example.
Yeah. That was lovely.
Yeah, just lovely.
Is there any other ones, Sheila?
Mama Char says, and I haven't read it yet. Let me put it up for you guys. Yes, I can.
And while you're doing that, let me just say one thing before you do that. I want you to know that when you ask these questions or you post these comments, this is great for all of us.
All of us.
So you are sticking out there as a very strong, powerful person, Mama Char, and I appreciate you doing this because this is allowing us all to go deeper and explore these things on levels that we may gloss over sometimes or maybe we thought we did, but we haven't in a long time. So I really appreciate you doing this. So go ahead, Sheila. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I wanted.
Yeah, listen to this comment because it goes right into what you were saying. Yes, I can paint, but can the appearances really change my attitude? Very, very good question. This was my late husband's happy place, and now that he's gone, this is not my happy place. That sounds so real to me. Y'all address that. I think that's a great question.
I want to respond to Mama Char because in other areas a couple months ago, I remembered her talking about having this feeling about moving to another state. I won't mention which state, but I caught some of her excitement envisioning that. And so there was some movement happening, and I would invite her to revisit, you know, whether that will pop up again, and maybe she just might consider coming to a place of gratefulness and appreciation, you know, for this beautiful space that she shared with her husband. It was his happy place, but there is another place calling her, and it is this time for her to, you know, come out of the cocoon and blossom. And I certainly am aware that in the last year she's done amazing things in new forms of expression in her life. But to ground that fully, it may be that she needs to move to another place.
I would consider that. We've got 3 minutes left, and we have, thank you, Elaine, and we have Jeremy Murphy has a question here, and I'm going to put it up so we can all see it. Any advice for unexpected career changes, at least reaching the point of accepting it? Been there, Jeremy. I know what you're talking about. Going through this now. I like the seasonal, cyclical approach. It's helpful. Thank you, and thank you for your question. Take that one on, ladies, and tell me what you think. Unexpected career changes.
Yeah, you know, the first thing I say is nothing has to last forever. There's peace in that. There's peace in knowing that nothing has to last forever, and we are part of creating that turn. You know, we're part of that. So not knowing a whole lot more, and I'd like to know more. So, you know, I always have more questions because you have to dig to get to the bottom of something. So I would say that nothing lasts forever.
That's your short answer. That's your short answer.
That's my short answer.
Jeremy, we can stay with the comments after the show has ended. So watch, you'll get notifications since you were here, and maybe Marilyn can expand on that. Elaine, do you have anything you want to add to Jeremy?
Gee, I find myself continuing to go back to the tree image. Okay, so if Jeremy has been part of some activity that we'll call the tree, and now he's a leaf and he's blown somewhere else, he needs to trust that wherever the fallen leaf has landed, it's perfect. It really is perfect. And nothing is withheld from him because he's in a different place. I would say, like a little child, get curious. Okay, so this is happening. What amazing thing can I open up to? Believing that the goodness of the universe is withholding nothing from him. And he has his perfect gifts of service. They're just ready to be shared in another arena.
And I would ask for another comment, but we have another comment from Mama Char I want to get in. Houses haven't sold here in Oklahoma, so I cannot move to California until they do so. This place only holds negative experiences. Mama Char, you might not should have brought that up when I was on the panel, having a 33-year background. Houses always sell.
Well, you know what? Isn't this perfect? But this is perfect. This is perfect. So that she, I would love for her to engage more in the conversation with us in general,
Mhm.
talking about that kind of thing, talking about, you pick a date and you
Mhm.
say, okay, by, March of 2015,
I will
I'm
be
going to
gone.
be I'm going to be gone, and then there are things that come up a lot faster that you get to do
Mhm.
in between now and March so that you are moving forward.
Send that
And
energy out,
Sheila,
Mama Char. Yeah.
yeah, and Sheila, I think you can give her some support in even, you know, which is all part of the manifestation of creating this already, is that you're here
Mhm. I'll be
on this
happy to.
panel.
She
Yeah,
also says,
talking to her.
she also says, thank you, ladies, and blessings back to you, Mama Char, and Jeremy, and Cheryl, and everybody. Katrina, honey, you know we missed you. Everybody that was in the audience, so important to us. Kalyani, I'm so glad you came back into the comments after you lost your signal. Very important to us. Miss Marilyn, I seem to be taking over your job. I don't mean to, but it
So,
is 11:01,
okay,
and I
Sheila,
want.
let me
Yes.
just say one thing about what Elaine said earlier about Jeremy. She's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely right. Let's not gloss over that, because that a lot of people have experiences that things happen to them, or
Right.
things that happen that they
Yes.
didn't think that they had any input in. And what she just said is absolutely perfect. To
It was,
take
wasn't
the
it?
opportunity, yeah, and when those things are happening, they're all part of this changing cycle, and there's something in there that you had to, it's kind of like having to have like a little road trip.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to get off the road a little bit, or maybe it's just a side street that you had to go on to get something else to put under your belt in order to go forward. So that was, I didn't want to go without commenting on that. Go ahead, Sheila.
Jeremy, I think it's an opportunity for you more than anything else, and I want you to start thinking of it that way and let us know if you start finding opportunities once you open up to the opportunities coming to you.
Right.
I think of it as an opportunity. Sarah Lamont has just come in, just caused the last bit of very positive conversation. Thank you, my dear, for your comment. Marilyn, it's up to you. Do you
Yeah.
want to go
Okay.
over, or
No,
do
I
you
just
want to
want
do it?
Gail. Gail's been quiet. Do you have anything to add before we go off?
I do. Um, I found from my own personal experience that we may not get what we want, but that we always get what we need. And that when we're in situations that are difficult, that are unexpected, whether it's, like wanting to move but we can, or a sudden job change, that there's something there for us, that it may not be what we want, but we need that. There's something there for us. And again, I'm just speaking from my own personal experiences, but I look for that. What do I need from this situation? Maybe, maybe the need will be to finally take a stand and say, yes, I am going to move. Or maybe with a job situation, you might realize, you know what, this, and I'm just making this up, but I was really unhappy in that other job for such and such reason. And now this gave me the opportunity. It's forcing me to move into other areas. So what is it that you're getting that you need right now?
Right. That's again the profound concept of listening to what that message is. This is why listening is so important. Listen to what you are resisting. Being honest with your listening. Listen to be honest. Listen to your authenticity. Listening is what will get you past into the learning, into what life is all about. And that's what this SkyWire is all about. It's taking these experiences and turning the listening on so that we wake up all of these things. So Elaine, you were fabulous today. I want to thank you so much for your brilliance. Gail, you were fabulous today. I want to thank you so much for your brilliance. Sheila, you are fabulous today. I want to thank you for your brilliance. And everybody in the chat, all of our panelists that are usually here that could not be here today that are in the chat or are watching or a fly on the wall. Thank you, everybody that's new. We hope you come back because we're always going to be talking about something like this. And for those of you that can have more questions, please stay in the chat.
Mhm.
Please comment. Let's comment back. let's work on all of this together because it really is fun. Anything else before we go? Any minute?
I'd
Yeah.
like to point out that Gail quoted the Rolling Stones after we started out with the Byrds. I think this is a really good rock and roll group.
We sure do rock, and we sure do roll, and we sure do roll, and we sure do rock.
And
So
Cheryl
with that,
Deuce,
everybody.
wait, Cheryl Deuce has
Yeah,
just
Cheryl,
said.
what?
Cheryl Deuce has just said, thanks for a great start to my morning, ladies. Love your spirits. That makes me feel good. And Sarah Lamoth wants to know, do you have a website based on SkyWire? Not yet. I am thinking.
No, not yet.
All right,
No,
but we'll
she
work
can.
on that.
Yeah, we'll work on it. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bye.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Yes, indeed.